My sphere of research is cognitive linguistics, and I'm from Siberian University. And those who have never been to Siberia, so just probably don't even imagine that we have just very large universities. So just we teach approximately 40,000 students of a lot of just research spheres. Certainly in linguistics, we are not so many, but still approximately 4,000 students are going to be future teachers and future linguists as well as future interpreters. And when I was invited to participate in the symposium, I just had been thinking for quite a period of time of how I could contribute with just my sphere of interest to those who are involved in teaching the languages. And just I would like to I'd like to hope that probably it will be of some help or at least informative, because I'm going to present you the results of Russian School of Cognitive Linguists. We have the following idea, and by the way, proved it in a lot of publications. So my contribution to today's event. So we definitely know that language is a structured system. So it's traditionally, we know that language is not chaotic, and that's why there is a phonemic, lexical as well as grammatical levels. But in case we come to cognitive field of research, usually it is the question why. For example, in case we ask a question, and why is it structured, and how is it structured, and why the structures are these 3 and not, for example, 4 or 5. And so we have the answer to this very question. And the answer is this. So just everything that appeared in the language is determined by the cognitive need and just cognitive possibilities of a human being to just do this or that activity. And then we'll start with 2 short prerequisites just for us to proceed. Is that language certainly is a structured system, but what it presents. So it usually structured because it is designed for knowledge processing and representation. And so just theoretical prerequisite number 2 is that language is not the only just system that presents and just encodes the results of our activity, of our just cognition. So we can do this with the help of music. We can just draw pictures. We can build just magnificent buildings. But as for the language, it is the most convenient system to encode the result of cognition. And if just the people or just the representatives of this or that ethnic group just do not have serious cognitive disabilities, certainly they master this very code just quite easily. And so I will start. So just with the main result of what we have. So as I have already mentioned, traditionally we definitely know that there are 3 levels in language. In case, for example, we do not distinguish between morphology and syntax and make it general, just a grammatical level. So certainly phonemic level was the first. So it evolved the first. And what was the cognitive need? So in case we come to ancient people, and their cognitive need was certainly to survive. And so after they realized that with the help of the sound, they can collaborate, so they can survive better, they can ask for help, they can express their emotions. So they started developing their sounds. And by the way, our organs of speech turned into, our organs of eating turned into the organs of speech. And so the sounds, just in the course of time, the sounds got more and more precise. So they were more and more articulated. But still, phonemic level doesn't present any type of knowledge, because it was designed for the distinction of sounds. But after the sounds, the set of sounds they had been developed, humans got the instrument for materializing, for expliciting the results of their cognition. And so here we come to the lexical level, to the words. Certainly words appear first. And so what are words, or what are the lexical level? Certainly a person surviving still survives in the world of real objects. And certainly, so just these very sounds helped a human being to encode some information about the objects. And so just the words, usually just we think that words is just a language. Certainly it's language, but unfortunately it's not the knowledge of the language, because just words, they reflect what we have in the world. For example, if just the toaster hadn't been invented, we would never have this word in the language. So we have words only for the things we see or for the things we cognize. So they may be certainly abstract, but still the basis will be some actions or just things in reality. And so just this was the cognitive need to transfer the knowledge and just to fix the knowledge. And certainly there was the cognitive possibility because humans could do this, and just there was memory, and just we understood a lot of things. Then phrases appeared, and phrases just are different from the words, and probably just the students would be happy to know that if they start speaking with the help of the phrases already, so it's about a detailed knowledge. For example, a pen and an ink pen are different things, and utilization is a cognitive mechanism that developed later. And certainly when they came to idiomatic expressions are of secondary nomination. So here when our mind was able of associations, or for example, transferring one situation on the different situation. And just to make the conclusion concerning the lexical level, we can characterize it as analogous just level, because what we have in real world will be definitely reflected in the language. Certainly it's primary because it got first, and it's the first semantic level. Certainly it's natural because just humans didn't think too much. Certainly it was selective because just usually we choose this or that just characteristic feature. And this is how just we are different, in spite of the fact that there are a lot of objects in the world that look similar. And usually I give an example just with the flowers. And we have, for example, snowdrop in English, 𝗟𝗿𝗂𝗁 in German, подснежник in Russian. And so just we pick different characteristic features. And I think that Gabo just gave a very just brilliant presentation just about basic concepts. And that's why just the knowledge that is rendered by the lexical means encyclopedic, certainly. And so what is the magical word I usually say? So the word usually is fixed in one neuron. And so just, for example, it's house, only 5 letters. And then you may put to these very 5 letters all the knowledge about the house. And so just our knowledge will be enlarging and enlarging, enriching and enriching. But still, usually people think, and the students think, that in case they know a lot of words, they will be able to speak. But so just it's the language that helps us speak, but not to the lexical level. So language should contain all the levels, phonemic, lexical, as well as grammatical, because only grammar helps us speak. What is a peculiar feature of grammar? So grammar is not reflected in the world. And that's why we usually call it the linguistic knowledge, because it is a certain set of some codes which this or that just nation thinks to be very, very important. So what is considered to be important? So grammar needs for us to think about the world, not as just some certain objects, but in its integrity. And so I, for example, can explain it and give you the example. For example, it's the starting point, the basic level of just only the beginning in just mastering the English language. You know a lot of words, for example, Peter, go, hotel, taxi. And just you think that we'll definitely survive with the words. And for example, we say Peter, go, hotel, taxi. And we definitely understand it. We think that we understand it. But to understand what is going on, we should be involved in the situation. But in case we are out of the situation, so we are starting thinking whether Peter will go to the hotel or he has already done it. For example, is it just a real situation, or was it just a situation that is simply construed in his mind and it is his wish? And so this is where grammar starts. So just it shows the integrity, and that's why it's the knowledge of the language. But there may be the question, so certainly its ontology is not about the world, but the ontology of the language. And so when we come to grammar, we certainly come to parts of speech. This is the first system of classification because humans couldn't survive with the chaos of myriads of words. So we had to classify them somehow, and our mind was just did it brilliantly. Certainly there would be morphological categories and certainly parts of the sentence. And this is just, I showed you with Peter just went just to the hotel by taxi. And it means that grammatical level is natural for the language, for the peculiar language, whether it is British, German, French, and so on and so forth. It will present the key concepts. So just that's why usually we are different in grammar. So just we might be close just in lexical means, because just while perceiving the objects, we still have at least something in common. Certainly just mothers are different in all the cultures, but we know that mothers are those human beings who just gave birth, and this makes us understand each other just perfectly well. But what is more important about grammar things? So grammar units are limited. They're not as many as the lexical means, because just if we perceive the world through its integrity, we should think only of the most regular things, so unchangeable, least changeable. And I will give you just the example. For example, the category of tense. So usually it's the grammatical category which exists in the majority of the languages, because just tense is just something universal. And that's why just we have tenses. And then there is the question. So just not all the languages, or just even just only a few languages, they have the category of space. Space is also universal, but still we usually don't have this very category. Why? Because it is changeable. So when we speak about tense,
Oksana, sorry, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, so when we speak about tense, so just we regard tense and we understand time just universally, no matter just where we are. For example, time starts its counting through the moment of speaking. And so just in case I speak now, so you realize, everyone realizes that it is present. If it is space, space is focused on a human being, on each individual. And that's why, for example, you are sitting in this, just in the room, and you think that we are here, but all the other people think that they are there. And so just we don't have a lot of things in common. But that's why just only most regular things, number, just duration, probably the result, as well as the tense, will make grammatical categories. And just to finish it all, so we have come to some language items which are lexical or grammatical, but they are neither about just the way, they are neither about the integrity of the word or about the objects. For example, such words as no, never. We have never seen no in the world, but still we have these very things. And we came with the next level, and it is just the communicative level, which serves our cognitive need to interpret the world. And I will give you only one example and then just finish. So we have negative just words, we have the words for approximation, we have just a lot of evaluation words, but still such objects don't exist. So why did they appear in the language, and why are they so important? They help us to interpret the world. And so they reflect very interesting cognitive mechanism. For example, when we don't know the word, no nomination. So this knowledge is not formed, as it is probably not very important. So that's why just if a boy will go to school tomorrow, so just is not in kindergarten now, we don't know how to call its social status, we'll say he is almost a schoolboy, and it will help us. If, for example, we don't know a lot of things, or, for example, in some cultures, it's not that ethical to speak about just female's age, we will say that she is about 30. So we make so many things with the help of these communicative categories. And so to conclude, I might say that language is structured, and it is structured because of the cognitive need to encode the knowledge. And so if there are only 3 types of knowledge so far, so knowledge about the world, knowledge about the language, as well as knowledge about the interpretation, so we distinguish 3 levels existing in the language. And so we think that if there will be just the fourth, for example, type of knowledge, will understand that just there is one more structure in the language. So thank you for the attention. Just in case it was just some kind of cognitively profitable, I would be very glad.
Oksana, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let us take at least one question from my students. Would anyone else like to ask? No? Okay. We have a wonderful student, Dennis, who always saves us because he always have questions.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you too.
Good afternoon.
My question would be, do languages impact how we feel, think, or our personality in general? Because the reason why I'm asking this, because some people say that, for example, Spanish people are in general happier because they have a lot of vowels that imitate the muscles that we smile with. Or there's a language where there is no difference between the word green and blue, and thus those people do not perceive them as different colors. So my question is, how do the languages we speak affect our thoughts, feelings, and so on? Whether you can tell us something about this.
Just, just from even the hypothesis of Selye and Wolf, okay, in a lot of just cognitive linguists, certainly everything we do so determines our understanding of the world, because we really perceive the world differently. And by the way, so just if I come, for example, sometimes even don't notice this, that our understanding is totally different. And why is it? Because the reality is different. So, and I do agree that the colors are different, and just at least the colors are the same, but we see them differently, okay? So just happy people see it's bluer, for example, but we need still, so just, but the objective world has got some universal characteristic features, okay? As well as probably specific, but not the, just not the objective world, but we perceive it through a lot of just characteristic features. And certainly happy people usually look through the happy pattern, okay? So unhappy people just look through just this or that pattern. And each time I, for example, provide an example. So just in case we just come to the Russians. So the Russians have a lot of negative things, okay? So they say, for example, just in case I translate it into the English language, I will say that I don't know nothing about nothing, for example. But in English, we have only one negation. And so how is it reflected in our understanding of the world? When we come to the surnames, for example, there are a lot of surnames in Russian language with this very negative prefix. You will never find a surname in English with the negative prefix. So just as for cognitive linguistics, it's 100% sure that even just basic facts are seen differently, and the word is this. And you might, by the way, open the dictionary and see that, for example, even the bear. So just when you open just the English language dictionary, it will be written, sometimes there are just such a definition that it's just a wild animal with thick fur and long just paws. In Russian, so the definition will be totally different. So that's it. We see it differently.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.